Welcome back. So our basmati rice was taken off the stove and I added a splash more coconut milk to it and sort of like fluffed it up in a bowl. And you'll see that later. And our curry is just finishing on the stove. In the last segment, we added all of our spices, and to the lentils and the water and coconut milk, we added 1 russet potato and about ½ a pound of cauliflower. So it's really important when you're eating Indian food to balance out the spices.
Especially, no matter, we made ours pretty mild, but especially like when you're not used to the flavors, it can get a little overwhelming. So we decided to make for sort of a accompanied dish to what we're having. A mango lassi, which is a very traditional drink. You'll see it in South Asia, not just in India and in Thailand. They do it as well, a few other countries. And it's kind of like a smoothie. It's yogurt based, and then you're going to add like milk, whatever kind of fruit. I've seen different kinds of fruit, but mango is definitely the most common, and it's served over ice. And it's a very cool, refreshing, like creamy sort of complement to what you're eating with the rice, which is usually pretty spicy, even if you're not getting it like extremely spicy. It's very, very distinct flavor, and you kind of want to balance it out with something. So to a blender, you're just going to add about a cup of Greek yogurt, and you want to use Greek yogurt because it's thicker than regular yogurt. One thing I noticed when we were in England, the yogurt was way runnier than you'd normally see in the United States. But even the stuff that you would get here is a little bit too thin for like the purpose of this drink. So you're definitely going to want to get Greek yogurt. As you can see, it's very, very thick. And then you're also going to add a cup of milk, and it can be really any kind. We're just using skim, but it doesn't really matter what kind it is. And then you're also going to add either, you can do fresh mangoes as well, but we're going to use mango pulp. And mangoes, it really doesn't matter for this purpose, because when you're eating a mango, the texture is really, really important. But because we're blending it up, it really doesn't matter. You're just using it for the juice. This is just more versatile. When you're done with it, you can use it in really anything, so that's why we decided to use it. But yeah, you can use fresh mangoes as well, and you really just want to get to about ½ a cup of juice.
If you were going to use fresh mangoes, you'd need about 3. And the way to tell that a mango is ripe is just by touching the outside when you're in the supermarket. And if it's all green, it's not ready. It should be like a variety of different colors, unless of course you're getting a certain kind of mango, which should be all green. But the kind that you see usually in the supermarket is red and green. And when you touch it, it gives a little bit. And if you want to see how to cut open a mango, I did it on our very first episode of Veggie Bites, so you can check that out on YouTube. Yeah, but also a great thing about the Greek yogurt is that it adds so much protein. We could have probably just used a whole fat plain yogurt, but the Greek yogurt especially adds just so much protein. And this is non-fat, so if we had used a whole fat plain yogurt, it would have been not even as thick as this. And this is no fat. There's so much protein in it, and it's just delicious yogurt.
You're definitely going to want to go for the Greek. We also decided to use packets, but normally you would just use about 4 teaspoons of raw sugar, because that's probably the best you can get. And it adds not a really processed kind of sweet to it, like a sweetened or anything like that. You're definitely going to want to use raw sugar or unprocessed sugar.
Yeah, and like a lot of people don't know that this sugar you see, like sugar in the raw, this brown sugar, it's called turbinado sugar, and it's like in the States usually grown in Hawaii, and it's just really great and crunchy. And if you're like using things for baking, if you want to add an extra crunch or sweetness to like cookies or at the top of the cake, if you're going to glaze a cake, you could definitely add some turbinado sugar to it. It would be amazing. So they usually come in a box, and you can get separate packets, so you can take them with you when you're going to work or class and add them yourself, or you could just buy an entire thing. But turbinado sugar and brown sugar are, like the baking brown sugar, are different. This one is you can add it to like coffees and things like that.
But the same as using a white sugar.
Yeah, but like baking brown sugar gets sort of like clumpy together, so watch out for the difference. But this is turbinado brown sugar, yeah.
And we're also going to add, again, just a dash of cardamom, because we use it for the very distinct flavor, but because it is so distinct, you don't want to add too much of it because it'll overwhelm everything else.
But it does smell delicious.
It smells like we're making chai tea right now, which is very good. And so you're going to put everything together. And then, since you're not breaking up anything too big, especially if you're not using pieces of mango, you can really just have it on a low setting. So we have it on low, and then smooth. Okay.
And it looks absolutely delicious.
So good.
All right. And we have some glasses conveniently located right over here.
And you're going to want to serve it over ice. You can see how thick it is. That's definitely from the Greek yogurt. And the milk in there as well. It's
and
really,
these just
really
look
good.
so delicious. And And other than this, which I guarantee you'll see this at any Indian restaurant you go to in the States or abroad, other than this, usually when you're eating Indian food, the reason why the curry is served on such a small plate, like I said before, is because it comes with other things like naan bread. And naan bread is something that I know both of us really love. It's just like this flatbread, kind of like pita, but just like even thicker and bubblier. And you can buy it at a store. Most stores have it, and you could just heat it in your oven and maybe brush some butter on it. I know I saw places, or like really thinly sliced onion and heat it in the oven. That would be delicious too. And of course, you could also pair it with the basmati rice that we've made today. We added coconut milk to it, but you could also add some shredded coconut. Some really thinly shredded or sliced almonds would be delicious too. It add a nice crunch to it. And also on the side of Indian food, you see chutneys. And like chutneys are kind of like a jelly, I guess is the best way that you could describe it. My favorite kind is mango ginger chutney. And I know that's like a really popular kind. And it's kind of like a ginger jelly with chunks of mango in it. And this way, like, your fork can be all over the place when you're eating, like in the curry and in the rice and in the chutney. And another thing that you wouldn't really think would be in Indian food, but is cilantro. You think of that more with Mexican food, but that's also like in Thai food and things like that. And what you could do with the cilantro, just like we did here, except you wouldn't make it a drink, obviously, is you could, in a blender, blend like chopped up cilantro and yogurt and have it as a side, like dipping sauce. Maybe add some extra virgin olive oil on top of it. That'd be so delicious. And to dip your naan bread in. But I think our food's ready, so I think we're going to plate. Our basmati rice was cooked, and we cooked it with water and some coconut milk. And when it was done, we added some extra coconut milk to it. Emily's just going to add a bit of salt and sugar just to bring out the sweetness of it. And salt always complements sweet. That's why you add it in baking and things like that. So it smells amazing. And if you could just add some to our plate. So now this I got at World Market too, like with the spices. And if you get a bigger one of these, it's not just a serving device, but it's also a cooking device, and you can cook in it. And it's kind of like an Indian wok. And so if I really wanted to, I could just cook with this metal thing. But if you go to an Indian restaurant, it's really beautiful. It's kind of like dimpled on the inside, and it was pretty cheap to buy. And if you want to like impress your friends with some like really cool cooking instrument or serving platter, this is definitely something that you might be interested in purchasing. So I'm just going to put some curry in here. And now in our curry, we have all of the spices that we added, in addition to cauliflower and the potato and the lentil. And if you were in an Indian restaurant, this would probably also be served with some naan bread, like I said before. Unfortunately, we don't have it, but let's try it out. It's really mild, but you can definitely still appreciate and smell all the flavors. So once you make this for yourself, you can just build onto the flavors from there and add spicier things like chili, or you could add more cumin or less mustard to make it less muted. But it's really delicious, and I know the rice will be too, because I've been smelling it. It's so good.
I love the way basmati rice tastes, and it's really fluffy. Like, it's not like sticky rice. Like,
it's not sticky rice at all. So yeah, I mean, there's no substitute. If you're gonna make this, go all out. Get the bag of basmati rice, and you'll be making it again and again. All right, so I think we're gonna cheers to this one. In the words of the greats from London. But if you have more, if you're interested to learn more about Veggie Bites, you can check us out on YouTube, Facebook, or Twitter just by typing in Veggie Bites, and at auatv.com. And I hope to see you next time. Bye.